Welcome to the QCA Wrestle Podcast with Rob Hill and Jay Zyman. Our guest today is Matt Robertson. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
All right, we're going to have a fun guest with us today. This one's special for me. I got to watch this guy wrestle from a youth all the way into his college level. We're going to be meeting with Matt Robertson today of Grandview College. Now, those of you know Matt, he is a graduate of Assumption High School, two-time state champion, three-time place winner, looking like he may be the 133 man at Grandview lineup this year. Welcome aboard, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
So we hate asking this question, but how you been surviving these times with the COVID?
Locked up in my dorm pretty much all the time whenever I'm not working out, wrestling with the team.
Okay. Were you able to stay up on campus this summer, or what did you do during the summer period?
I stayed up at campus for the first 2 months and then worked back at home for the last 2 months.
Okay. Got a couple partners up there you can roll with?
Yeah. Got a pretty good crew up here, and then back home work with Trezino and Grothis and hop into the Assumption room every once in a while.
Great. I know we saw you at Gogi a couple times this year, so good to see you up there.
So, Matt, we'd like to start at the beginning of your wrestling career. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you got started, how you were introduced to the sport?
So my dad and uncle wrestled when they were kids. So my dad got me into it when I was about 5, and we started at Pleasant Valley, and I was the smallest kid in the room. So small I didn't even have a partner. I wrestled against the wall, like shadow wrestling. And then after a little bit, my dad was like, all right, well, you might as well learn, go to a tournament, see what you're doing all this for. And I wrestled in that tournament. Couldn't tell you how I did first match. I know second match I wrestled Caleb McCabe. I beat him, and then in the waiting room between the first and second match, told the kid, if you wrestle me, you're going down. And he cried. And so he didn't come out for the third match, and my dad told me I had to beat everybody to win. So then I cried for like 30 minutes because I thought I got second because I didn't beat everybody.
That's great. Did your dad wrestle in high school?
Nope, wrestled through middle school, and that was it.
Okay. Because I know I saw a picture where your dad had some success at a old man's tournament a few years back.
Yeah, I think maybe he's done 2. I think he's done 2. I think he got. Oh man, I don't think he's won one yet, but I think he's done 2.
Okay.
I love it. Still throwing his hat in the ring, even though it's been a couple of years. So
that hat is very dusty at this point.
So Matt, who did you mirror your image or your style of wrestling after? I mean, you're really an aggressive wrestler. I love watching you, out on the mat because you just let the feathers fly. It doesn't matter who you're up against. I mean, who'd you pick up that style?
I don't know. I think I grew up watching the Hawkeyes, and I mean, since I was 5 years old, it's like I was watching Metcalf, McDonough, just back when I was just mean and gritty. So that's kind of what I grew up with, and then it just kind of stuck, and then kind of added my own flair to it here and there, and kind of just became my own wrestler.
I agree with Jay. I always liked watching you. I know how nice of a kid you are, but in that circle, it didn't matter if you were buddies or not. I mean, there was times when you got kind of nasty, which I like that. If it's in the, it was always legal, I think, everything I saw, but I like you get a little bit mean, which is it's a little intimidating for kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see me and they're like, man, that kid's probably a dick. Like, why would anybody want to be friends with him? And then they meet me, and off the mat, I'm a totally different person, just down to earth, really friends with everybody and anybody. But like, if once we're wrestling, it's totally different mindset.
Sure.
Not there to win, and
yeah, it's good to be able to turn that on for sure. So Matt, how much Freco did you do? A lot of freestyle and Greco growing up?
No, I think the first time I stepped on a freestyle Greco mat was like freestyle state my sophomore year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I went to Fargo that summer, and that's about the only freestyle and Greco I've done.
Gotcha. Were you active in the off season? Or were you wrestling folk style still?
Yeah. Normally I'd go to like Disney duels. Went down to Texas. So I was always more just a folk style guy all year.
Gotcha.
All right, Matt, going back to your high school career, I believe it was your sophomore year. You wrestled out at state. Did you break your ankle or your foot out there and continue the remainder of the tournament?
That was freshman year. I broke it in January, and they thought it was just I don't know. They didn't think it was too bad, and I just really wanted to wrestle, so I kept telling the doctor like, no, it's fine, and so I did that early January, and I didn't wrestle again until districts, and I qualified for state, but it got pretty bad towards the end. Looking back, I probably should have just rested it till districts because I didn't wrestle any meets, but I was wrestling in the practice room. And then about a month after state, I was going to go wrestle a summer tournament, and I went out for a run, and I got like a mile out, and I was like, all right, this still hurts. There's something wrong. So I went back to the doctor, and they said I'd broken my ankle, and the way that we were taping my ankle to take the pressure off it, I broke one of the bones in my leg. So
That's crazy. So you finish off your freshman sophomore campaign at Pleasant Valley, and then after that campaign in your sophomore year, you move over to Assumption. Can you give us a little insight? Why you made that change and how did it help your wrestling career?
So I think my freshman year, I had a pretty good season. We had a pretty good team. And then Euchre had his deal with Pleasant Valley. He was gone. We got Larson. And I just didn't like my style of wrestling and Larson's style of coaching. I didn't think went together. And no disrespect for him. He's obviously got some good wrestlers over there. And I talked about transferring after my freshman year. And it was actually, I was open enrolled at Bettendorf, and I was ready to go there. But I was working out at Assumption. And I was working out with Tristan, and Coach Bush came in one day, and he's like, well, if you're thinking about transferring, why don't you look here? And I was like, oh, I never thought about that. I didn't know that was an option. So I got a shadow there and loved it. And the rest just kind of is history. My parents left it totally up to me. So I just I liked Bush and I liked DeSazier, and that was the most fun that I've ever had was those 2 years. That was awesome.
Yeah, and you picked up a lot of technique. I know over them next 2 years, just wrestling. I don't know if it was the different coaching, if it was the different partners you had in the room, but you really saw an acceleration in your wrestling style.
Yeah, I think most of it was just the mental aspect of it. Is I just felt like my coaches believed in me. The atmosphere in the room was awesome, so it was hard not to be good there.
Sure, good room, good team. So Matt, I actually went to Assumption too. So when you transferred over there, my kids go to Bettendorf, so Assumption's like my second favorite team around here.
We got to talk about that wicked cement mixer that he learned, or was it a gator roll or cement mixer hitting to the state tournaments back-to-back years? Didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, I learned it as a ventriloquist from Juergens.
Okay.
So two ventriloquists back-to-back years to make it to state? Is that how went it? No.
One was in the semifinals my junior year to pin Noah Phi. Tied 4-4. I think I probably gave Bush a heart attack because I was going to cut him with 45 seconds left. And senior year was in the finals, probably gave my dad a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
Because there was about a minute left, and I was down 4-1, 3-1, something where it was not looking too hot.
Yeah. You must have had a lot of confidence. That's a little bit of a dangerous move.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hitting it since I was probably 7, and at that point, it was kind of all or nothing.
Yeah, gotta go. So Matt, after Assumption, you went to Grandview. What did you see at Grandview that made you kind of realize that was a good fit for you?
Coach Mitchell is just an awesome guy, and obviously, when I got here, they had won like 7 in a row. I think I've been a part of 8 and 9, and so it's just going back to another team that had a legacy of being good. And so I knew that the guys in the room were going to be good. They were going to push me. And so I think that it was just kind of like Assumption, but at the college level.
Matt, can you tell us a little bit about some of the adjustments you had to make going into Grandview? You mentioned it was a great program you're stepping into. You're already a 2-time state champion, but you're going into one of the top the top NAIA program in the nation. So what kind of adjustments do you have to make going into that room?
I don't necessarily know what adjustments I've had to make to my wrestling, more just add a little bit more to it and perfect some of the things that I've already had. The style that I have kind of mixed as well with what Coach Mitchell shows in the room. I mean, I've been here for 3 years, and each year at the start of the year, we kind of go over the same thing, and Coach Mitchell adds, small touches. Each year it's a little bit different. The technique is a little bit different from what he's seen over the past year and makes it just a little bit better.
Sure. I like that. What, and this may be a little bit of an advice type question, but could you think about your transition from high school to college, and was it a big change, or what kind of advice may you have for like a kid just in making that transition from high school into college?
I think academics are super important. I think sometimes kids kind of let that slip away. You got to go to a college where you're going to get a good education still. And then I think a lot of guys get hooked on that D1 dream, and it's kind of D1 or nothing. And I mean, whether you go D1, D2, D3, NAI, JUCO, I mean, as long as you're still wrestling and being a part of it, I think it's still great. So I think kids kind of shy away if they're not going to be a D1 kid, and I think they miss an opportunity sometimes.
Beautiful. I love that message. Yeah, I think as long as you're wrestling, I mean, at every level, that there's tough competition, no question about it.
I mean, especially at Grandview. I mean, our first open is normally Iowa State, and we see quite a few D1 teams throughout the year, D2, D3. We see it all. So just because we're not D1 doesn't mean we're missing out on that competition. Yeah,
absolutely. So we mentioned quarantining and whatnot a little bit already, but just wanted to, I guess, follow up on that. So with the quarantine situation we all went through this past summer, what did you do? I know you spent some time, down at sometime here in the Quad Cities and then sometime up in at Grandview. But what did you do to sharpen your skills? Was there anything in particular you were working on?
I was working with Josh Wanger a lot. He's a 2-time champ up here. And I mean, when I was up here, we were working like twice a week and just a little bit of everywhere. It was mostly sparring, and then, all right, so we've been in this position 5 times and you beat me there 5 times, 5 different ways. What can we do? What can I do to make that better? And I felt like I made quite a few jumps this summer, and then I was running a lot more, just trying to get my leg endurance up, so my legs weren't getting so tired during the match. But I think going down to 33, that'll help too, be lighter and feel better.
So how's the team looking this upcoming season, Matt? What will we be looking at with Grandview again?
hopefully looking at history. I mean, be the first college team to get 10 in a row. That'd be awesome. I think the guys on the team are awesome this year. Obviously, we lost Hansen, 4-timer. We lost Wanger, and we lost a handful of other guys. I mean, those were probably the two biggest hits we took. But I mean, every year we've got guys that are willing to fill those shoes. So I think we'll be all right without those guys.
Now, you've spent the past couple years at 141 really working on your technique, wrestling style, making that transition into college wrestling. Were you looking to fill a hole, or was it just your time to come down to 133?
Yeah, I think it was my time. My freshman year at 41 went pretty well, and then last year was all right. I just felt like I was small all the time. Like, I mean, obviously we're all weighing in at 141, but if that guy's 141 and he's 4% body fat, then he's going to be bigger than me if I'm 141 and 12%. So I talked with Mitchell at the end of last season, and we came to the conclusion that 133 is not out of the picture. It'd be a pretty easy cut if I get on this meal plan. So I've been on the meal plan for a little bit now. Over the summer, I saw 138, and I felt really good. That I haven't seen that since probably senior year of high school at the state tournament. So I felt really good. I'm excited to make 133, and hopefully we get enough competition this year where I can showcase how much better I am at 133.
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, Matt, we're gonna have to ask you if you could send that meal plan over. Me and Jay could use that, I think. Wanted to ask Matt, what is the longest live go that you have ever had in practice? Who was it with, and where was it? How long do you remember going?
Normally, sometime during preseason, we'll have a just go till you break, and you have to go until one of the guys is like, all right, I'm done. Those are probably the longest goes. My freshman year, I had to go with Coach Mitchell.
Ooh.
I was wrestling with one of the coaches, and he wasn't feeling well. And so, like 5 minutes in, he was like, I'm done. I'm going to throw up. I was like, all right. So I walked over to Mitchell, and he's like, all right, you're good. And then, but that was only like 5 minutes in, and this is going to be like a 45-minute go. So about 5 minutes later, he was like, Robertson, you want to go? And I was like, all right, sure. He can't be that good, right? He's old. I don't think I scored a point for the next 40 minutes. And it was one of the roughest goes of my life, probably. But I didn't quit, so.
Nice. Hey, in the past, Matt, you and I have had discussions about how wrestlers prepare themselves mentally before matches, even doing some techniques and stuff like that, off the mat. We're not even talking in the wrestling room. We're talking, talking with someone, kind of visualization of, the color of I think you said something about the color of the mat, and towing the mat and wrestling a match like you were, 6 points behind, stuff like that, and not being worried about it. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you prepare yourself mentally now, or how you did before? And then, second part, do you get any rituals or stuff like that you go through before each match?
Yeah. So my junior year, we started Nick Spone started doing a little bit of visualization with us in the wrestling room before tournaments. And then my senior year, we did a lot more of it. And then I implemented on my own time more. And he talked a lot about, just writing down your goals. So I had my goals written down. I had them in the visor of my car. So every time I got in my car, I saw it. And then a lot of like positive self-talk. And so we still do that here at Grandview. After practice, we'll walk around the room and Mitchell will give us something to say, and you just got to say it over and over, but you got to say it out loud so that you can hear yourself say it rather than in your head. And then we visualize sometimes up here. So then just doing that on my own time as well. I think that helps a lot.
It's really good. Really good. Thinking about your career, it could be all the way back to youth if you want. Who was the toughest match that you ever had? Who did you wrestle and like when was it?
Toughest match I've ever had. That's tough. I don't know. I took a lot of real bad beatings from Wagner in high school. Those weren't really tough matches. Those were just kind of awful matches. I don't know. I think maybe – I don't know if I had some really good battles my senior year. Or no, that was my junior year. We had some really good battles. Will S1 and I had some really good goes. Brady Fritz in the semifinals, super fun match. Braden Curry in the quarters my junior year. That was another tough match. I don't know. The list is probably too long, and I probably can't remember all the studs that I've wrestled. I mean, my first tournament ever, I wrestled Caleb McCabe, and he went on to be pretty good. All those North Scott guys. I mean, I've been wrestling Colin Lewis since I was a kid. Mikey Wheeler was a stud. I don't know. It's a long list. Hard to figure out just one that was the toughest.
Matt, we talked earlier about I don't know if you call it the bad boy image in the ring or inside the circle, but what I'm most impressed with is how many kids, younger wrestlers are just like magnetized to you. They want to see, hang around you. They want to train. Even my son, I think you guys hung out quite a bit when he was going, first in high school. You'd come over, even though you guys were wearing different colors, you'd come over and give him a hard time, and you guys would get along well. But if you could give any advice to any of these upcoming wrestlers, what would you give them?
Just have fun with it. It's just a sport. I think there was times where I probably put way too much pressure on it. Just have fun. I mean, if you have fun and, you make it fun every day in the room. I'm being around a high school team, there's always the guys who are like, man, I hate this. This sucks. It's like, man, I love this. This is fun. Like if you tell yourself that, and then you look forward to practice every day. And I think another big thing was in high school, just not really cutting weight, just because kids in high school cut way too much weight for not too much of a reason. So when I wasn't cutting weight, it was like I'd go into practice to have fun and learn technique and mess around with Coach Bush and DeSazier, and it made it just way more fun, and I enjoyed it so much more. So
I know, and I'm sure you've had more coaches than I know of, but I know you have Mitchell, you've had Pete Bush, Jake Larson, Ben Euchre, Matt Taney back in the youth ranks, Juergens, and I'm sure many more have touched your career, here and there. Which one? Can you think about a coach who ran the toughest practice? Who is like gonna just who did you know like practice was just gonna be brutal with?
Juergens had some tough ones back in the day. There was definitely my first practice of Young Guns ever. We were going over bottom, and I learned at PV you curl your toes when you're in your base. Juergens got in a base, showed everybody how to get in a base, and he puts his toes flat. I was like 6 years old. I didn't recognize that he put his toes flat, lined us up around the room. He says, get in your base, just like I was. I curled my toes. Robertson, 50 push-ups. I was like, what? So I did 50 push-ups, got back against the wall, curled my toes. Robertson, another 50. Did 50 more push-ups, got back against the wall, curled my toes. I don't know who was behind me, but he uncurled my toes and put them flat. I have no idea who it was to this day, but he saved me from probably about 200 more push-ups because I never would have learned.
Sure. That's funny. But once you figured it out, do you still curl your toes or no?
Nope.
Okay.
Face is down. funny thing, we talked about that in the college room the other day. Mitchell was like, I used to not really care about it, didn't think it mattered. He's like, now put your laces flat. It's what I want you to do. So we've had some pretty awful preseason workouts up here too. We got one at the stadium. That one was pretty tough my freshman year. We had to wheelbarrow around the track on our hands, and it was pretty hot outside. Track was pretty hot. That one was rough. And then we go to Capitol Hill up here. That one gets pretty rough, but it's fun. They're all fun, but they're definitely tough.
Yeah. Getting better. So Jay, how did you get taught? So when I was at Assumption, Wade King was the head coach, and it was always laces down, butt on your heels, because then it's not as easy for them to do ankle pick. Like, what did you do, Simon?
Well, back then it was like, we're talking 35, 40 years ago, first off. So let me start with that. But I was brought in by Looters and Gary Looters and Bob Looters, and they'd have us curl our toes down back then, because technique wasn't what it was today. But if someone would pick your ankle, then you just take your wrist control, pivot up, is what they'd have us do back then. But different world, different times, and my son laces down. That's the way to do it now.
There's exceptions. I remember, I think, and I can maybe ask him if I remember right. I believe Josh Watts always had his toes curled, and I think he believed, and he might have been right, that he was quicker to get to his feet that way. He could pop up quicker that way, which he was fast and I wasn't. So for me, it probably didn't matter if I curled him or not. I wasn't going to get up that quickly. Okay, so actually that brings us now. We're to our OT sudden death questions, Matt. Some of these still have to do with wrestling, but a lot of them don't. So, the first one, what's your favorite wrestling movie?
I don't really watch a lot of wrestling movies. If the Flow films count, those are pretty good. Terry's probably my favorite of those.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
All right, if you could be any superhero, Matt, who would it be?
Spider-Man for sure.
Climbing the wall.
Favorite? Oh, go ahead, Jay.
No, I just said climbing the walls, Matt.
Favorite wrestling match of all time? Could be one of yours. Could be just one that you've watched.
Probably. I don't know. Drew Foster in National Finals, pretty cool. Or old match. I don't know, any of Yanni's matches now, or like Colette and Ironside.
Yeah, those are awesome.
What is your favorite food? And can you plug one of the restaurants when you come back home where you go out to eat?
That's tough. I like food. Food is pretty good. Up here, we got a taco truck real close to campus. It's got some really good street tacos. Or we got Five Guys. Five Guys, super good too. And we're getting to Five Guys in the Quad Cities soon.
Yeah.
That's got to be up there.
Very good. Favorite football team?
Green Bay Packers.
Nice.
Chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
Ooh. Whitey's, I go vanilla with fudge.
Favorite downtime activity? If you have a day off, what are you going to do?
I'm probably playing video games with my buddies.
What are you playing?
Right now we've been playing a lot of the new Call of Duty.
Okay.
I don't even know which one it is. We play Warzone.
Okay. Nice.
Who's the alpha? Who's the top dog of you guys?
Jay Dalton Jensen, man. He's absolutely unreal. Probably one of the best guys at video games I've ever met.
All right. Who do you have for the next 57 kilograms for the Olympics for the U.S.?
Yeah, gotta think Spencer Lee, right? If he makes an Olympic run, gotta be Spencer Lee.
I like that pick. I like it. I think I can answer this one because we talked about folk style, freestyle, and Greco a little bit. But favorite wrestling style?
Probably folk style. Solely just, I love to scramble. Takedown defense isn't great. Coach Mitchell probably doesn't like it, but.
Have you tried ventriloquist on any of your college guys yet?
Oh, yeah. Hit it every once in a while. I hit it the other day in practice on Tuesday.
Okay, Matt. We always end all of our interviews with the same question. What is your favorite quote?
Recently, actually, a lot of times here at Grandview, we talk about championship lifestyle, and kind of how you do one thing is how you'll do everything. So, I mean, I try to live by that, like, you know, whether I'm playing video games, you know, giving it my all. Between that, schoolwork, wrestling, just, you know, make sure that I give the same amount of effort into all of it, because it's all important. Not one is more important than the other. Mitchell talks about if you improve off the mat, you're going to improve on the mat too. So I think that's probably what the biggest one I live by right now is.
Very good. Very good. Well, Matt, that's all we've got for today, man. We really, really appreciate your time, and best of luck to you. We look forward to watching you this season.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter at QCA Wrestle. And keep an eye out for more QCA wrestling content coming soon.